In the headlines, federal government withdraws contempt charge against Labour. President Tinubu inaugurates committee on fiscal policy tax reforms. Makudi community protests lack of power supply. And on the international scene, Niger military names economist as prime minister. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. The federal government says it has withdrawn the contempt of court proceedings against organized labor for embarking on a nationwide protest. In a letter to the lead counsel to the NLC, Femi Falana, the government announced its withdrawal of the suit against labor. The organized labor had threatened to embark on a nationwide strike from August 14 if the federal government fails to withdraw its contempt of court charges. President Bola Tinubu has inaugurated the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms in Abuja. The president had 4 weeks ago set up a committee chaired by fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader at PricewaterhouseCoopers, Taiwo Oyedele. The committee has experts from both the private and public sectors as members, and Special Advisor to the President on Revenue, Adelabu Adedeji, had explained that the President recognized the importance of a sound fiscal policy environment and an effective taxation system for the functioning of the government and the economy. The Northern Consensus Movement is calling the attention of the Nigerian president to withdraw his planned agenda of a military attack on Niger Republic. The call is coming on the back of the president's request to the Senate seeking implementation of 7-point resolution of ECOWAS on Niger Republic, some of which involves military action, cutting off electricity supply to Niger Republic, among others. The report.
According to the group, Nigeria can't afford to support any military joint operations of ECOWAS, especially in terms of its financial implications, while recommending diplomacy and dialogue as measures to resolve the impasse.
The decision of military attack can lead to civil war. States with land border with Niger Republic that will be on the firing line are Sokoto, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Jigawa, Yobe, and Borno states. The Northern Consensus Movement is worried about the president's request from the Senate seeking implementation of a 7-point resolution against Niger Republic, some of which involves military action, cutting off electricity supply to Niger Republic, etc. But does the president know the implication of this resolution?
Group, while entertaining fear that Nigeria's crisis, if escalated, might be difficult to contain as it will have negative effect on the African continent and Nigeria in particular, with over 100,000 IDPs in DIFA. NCM appealed to Nigeria's past military head of state and generals to advise President Tinubu in the interest of both Nigeria and Niger Republic.
In fact, we are calling on the likes of General Ibrahim Badamasu Babangida, General Abdusalami Abubakar, General Yakubu Gawan, and all others, the General T.Y. Danjuma, whom have experience, including the immediate past President General Muhammadu Buhari, to make the president understand the implication of waging a war, most especially with a country like Niger that is our sister.
With the deadline given to Niger Republic by ECOWAS already elapsed, tension has continued to heighten in the region, while the world awaits to see the next line of action by ECOWAS. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Police in Lagos have arrested a 43-year-old fake Alpha who allegedly tricked a U.S.-based Nigerian before taking over the victim's wife, children, properties, and 105 million naira. The suspect allegedly committed the crime along with his wife and 3 others. Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 2, Lagos, Ari Muhammad Ali, paraded the suspect and his accomplices.
At this point, he had in his hand a grounded pepper that was unknown to the Uber driver. He applied the pepper on the face of the driver and immediately jumped down. The driver immediately jumped down because he could no longer see. And Olamide took over the steering and drove away the car. The complainant made a report at the Local Division on same day and later became our office. After some days, on receipt of this petition, I detailed a team of monitoring unit again that went after the criminals. Not however run against them, and one of the suspects was arrested. And of course, he's currently with us. The car has been recovered. The suspect is still with us, and the investigation is ongoing.
A Kano State High Court has granted an administrative bail to the former managing director, Kano Agricultural Supply Company Limited, Bala Muhammad Inuwa, who was arrested over alleged diversion of 4 billion naira belonging to the company. Recall that Inuwa was arrested last week by the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission for allegedly breaking into a warehouse confiscated in the ongoing investigation into the alleged 4 billion naira fraud during his reign as a managing director of Casco. However, during a court sitting on Tuesday, Justice Usman Naabba admitted the suspect to bail on self-recognition on the grounds that he had been kept in the custody of the PCACC beyond the time permissible by law. The court also admitted Inuwa's son, Inuwa Muhammad, to bail in the sum of 10 million naira and a surety in like sum. Earlier, Inuwa's counsel, Nasiru Aliyu SAN, told the court that it was improper for the court to hear and entertain the charge filed by the PCACC on the grounds that there was a court ruling that prevented them from arresting or charging his client to court. The PCACC had filed 10 counts charge against Inuwa for allegedly diverting over 4 billion naira grants into private accounts. He's been sued alongside 4 others, including his son. The Mekme community in Makudi has been without electricity for long. Members of the community have staged a peaceful protest to demand the restoration of electricity supply to their community. They allege that some officials of Jos Electricity Distribution Company changed their 47-year-old transformer without their knowledge. Jimmy Adzande sent us this report as presented from our studio.
The protesting youth with placards and green leaves expressed their displeasure for living without electricity in the last 6 months.
That this particular transformer that is serving us now is not even our transformer. And this, our own very transformer that has been serving us, has served us for 47 years.
Youth in the community who barricaded the entrance gates of Makudi Power Distribution Office were addressed by the management of JEDC and the NSCDC.
From their discussion, it has been agreed 3 o'clock, the team of JED will be in Demepe to assess the capacity of those 2 or 3 transformers that are working. And we want to say we are very sorry for all the embarrassment and the suffering you have gone through. We are quite aware and we are actually going to work towards ensuring stable supply in the community.
The protesters later returned to the community, anticipating quick restoration of electricity supply.
Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, said the Navy is taking the war against oil theft and economic sabotage in the maritime domain to the criminals in order to end the menace in the Niger Delta region. Ogala spoke while on a familiarization tour to naval facilities in Rivers State. The report.
Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, said the Navy will improve its surveillance capabilities and beam its searchlight more on the creeks and riverine areas where illegal oil bunkering activities take place more. He emphasized that the move will enable the Navy to strike the criminals even before they go into the act.
Then with respect to what we are going to do, we are going to improve our surveillance capability because we want to be able to strike the criminals even before they go into the act. We want to arrest them while they are planning, while they are thinking about it. So we don't want to be on the defensive. We want to take the war to the criminals. Well, the issue of allegation of involvement of our personnel in oil theft, this is the age of social media. And many people who do not even have the full details, they just put something up there. But if you go through some of those allegations and investigate them, you find out that the basis of those allegations are unfounded. For instance, somebody will just see a vessel somewhere, he will say, oh, the military are involved. He doesn't even know whether there's proper approval from NNPC for that vessel to load. But he will put it on social media that he saw some military men on board the vessel and that vessel is engaged in illegal bunkering without having the correct information. But whatever the case may be, anytime we receive such allegation, we investigate it properly.
Vice Admiral Ogala, while reacting to the allegations of involvement of personnel in oil theft, noted that such claims are unfounded, adding that several investigations carried out showed that most of the allegations are not true.
So far, our investigations have been showing that most of the allegations are not true. But each time we still respond to them by investigating properly so that if there's element of truth in it, we hold the personnel responsible and we apply the law according to the Armed Forces Act. It has a very severe consequence, ranging from imprisonment to dismissal, which we apply on. So we have been such cases in the past and appropriate action were taken. But I bet you more than 90-something% of those allegations are just based on social media hype without proper background.
Among the areas the Chief of Naval Staff visited were onshore facilities at the Federal Ocean Terminal, One, Naval Training College, One, Forward Operating Base, Boni, Nigerian Basic Training School, One, Naval Medical Center, Nigerian Navy Hydrographic School at the Naval Shipyard Limited, Borikiri, Port Harcourt.
Exploration and mining of uranium is set to commence in Mika area of Yola local government area of Taraba State. An environment consultant to Clarisva company, Leonard Kemalolem, revealed this during a meeting organized by the Federal Ministry of Environment to review environmental impact assessment of the proposed uranium mining project. He said as part of Nigerian Nuclear Regulation Authority, the prerequisite for a Clarisva company is to visit the uranium site at Mika. An environmental impact assessment was required from the Federal Ministry of Environment for non-radiological aspect of the project. Mining of uranium in Taraba State, when it commences, will be the first in the history of Nigeria. A company named Clarisva Solution has secured a license from the federal government or the Federal Ministry of Environment to undertake uranium exploration and mining within leased area covering 26 square kilometers. You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. Residents lament rise of price of foodstuff. Stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Trust News Update, a recap of our stories. We told you that President Tinubu inaugurates Committee on Fiscal Policy Tax Reforms. We also told you that federal government withdraws contempt charge against Labour. And now to more news. Members of National Youth Corps Service Scheme deployed to Abuja are finding it difficult to cope with rising cost of transportation in the capital city since the fuel subsidy removal. The Youth Corps members called on government and place of primary assignment to review working days and possibly increase the allowances. Dorcas Yakubu reports.
The recent fuel price increase has brought about increases in cost of foods, transportation fares. Corps members in Abuja are not immune from the hike in the cost of transportation. Though prices of basic necessities have gone up, allowance of the Corps members, however, remains the same. The Corps members said that their allowance is not enough to cater for their basic needs.
We are not finding it easy as a Nigerian and as a corps too. Prices of things have added, especially price of transportation, foodstuff, and the rest. Then we used to spend less to come for CDS and PPA, but now we spend ×2 of what we used to spend before. So as a Nigerian and as a corper, it's very hard for us.
Just from our house alone, we are spending nothing less than 2,000 to 3,000 naira just to get to our place of CDS. So it's not funny at all, and we are not really gaining anything. Even though, yes, we are serving our nation, at least our feeding, our accommodation and anything. So it's really on us. And we have to go extra mile just to see extra money again so for us to survive. So we pray that the government will help us at the end.
And coupled to the fact where we actually reside, it's quite far from our PPA. And the transport is not encouraging at all. We spend a lot. Within 1 to 2 weeks, we've spent 33,000, and we see nothing funny. It's not funny at all, and all the things we've been receiving, we use it for transport.
Yeah, I feel if it's possible, they should reduce working days for corpers and also increase the allowee so we will be able to run around as well. Because if at the end of the day, the only thing we use our allowee for is to save it for transportation, and maybe to get something to eat when you're hungry. There's no savings with allowing this.
It's really taking a toll, especially on Corps member 7. You know, the inflation of transport prices, like before from here to Kubwa is about 400 to 500, but now it's 700.
They appealed to government to review working days and also increase their allowance. Dorcas Yakubu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Residents of Yola, the Adamawa state capital, have been lamenting the rise in the price of foodstuff within the city center and other localities with every passing week. According to them, the price of a bag of maize is currently sold between 70, 60 and 40,000 naira, depending on its size. Silas Lawang, who visited Yola South Grains Market, files in this report.
Since the implementation of the removal of the fuel subsidy by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, prices of foodstuff, transportation and other commodities have automatically increased, a development that has not gone down well with many Nigerians, especially low-income earners. Last week, a bag of maize was sold between 50 to 55,000 and 60,000 naira in this market. But now it goes for 70,000 naira, an increase of 10,000 within a week. Marketers blame the development on insecurity and the fuel subsidy removal.
Wannan buhunan da yake gani wanda aka sa elwil din nan mai wannan koren buhu abin da zane a jikin sannan yau dai abin da farashin sa yake a nan 70,000 ne.
We should not be blamed because we travel very far to bring in these cereals. You know how difficult it is to transport goods this time. Big bag of maize is now 70,000, while medium is between 50 to 60,000 naira. Last week, a fire outbreak destroyed property worth millions of naira at the Grand Street of the market, commonly referred to as Line Masunika, while stakeholders assured of help for those affected. Victims of the fire outbreak are soliciting for more assistance, saying even the first assistance promised to them by the state government and their representatives is yet to reach them.
Gaskiya asaran da na yi daga miliyon ɗaya zuwa sama asaran da na san na yi shi a wannan shago.
I lost over $1 million to the fire outbreak, and there are shops I know that had in stock goods worth millions of nairas. That's why we need more assistance.
Some of the shops said they lost something about more than 5 million, and the other shop is they lost more than 3,500,000 and above. And our loss, we just thank God for what the governor Amadu Fikiri has purchased, giving us and the member representing Yola North and Yola South. We even thank God for what he has done. But seriously, our losses, we cannot recover it as well as before. Yan kasuwan Yola muna muku bakin ciki da abun da ya faru.
I pray to God to prevent a future occurrence and also replenish what you lost to the inferno. Moreover, you people need to be sure that you switch off all your electrical appliances at the close of work.
Stakeholders have also called for assistance for the victims to enable them return to their businesses. Silas Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Asman Airline has sent all its staff on compulsory leave without pay after suspending its commercial operations. The leave follows end of its Hajj operation and the unavailability of its Boeing 737 aircraft that has gone for C-check maintenance and is yet to return. However, in a circular signed by the Human Resource Manager, Magaji Muhammad Misau, dated 3rd August, only 8 senior staff are exempted from the compulsory leave. The circular told staff that domestic operations have been put on hold for a while and conveyance of aircraft for C-checks and the MROs has given a longer time of completion. Asman Air Management directed all staff to proceed on leave without pay with effect from 1st August. The circular, however, said all station managers have been exempted from the compulsory leave. Now away from Nigeria, nearly 2 weeks after the military took over power in Niger, the coup plotters have named former Economy Minister Ali Mahaman Laminzain as the country's new prime minister. A spokesman for the military junta made the announcement on television late on Monday night. Laminzain was formerly the Minister of Economy and Finance for several years in the cabinet of then-President Mamadou Tanja, who was ousted in 2010 and most recently worked as an economist for the African Development Bank in Chad, according to a Nigerian media report. At the end of July, the military ousted the democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum and suspended the constitution in the country of 26 million inhabitants. Under Bazoum, Niger had been one of the last strategic partners of the West in the fight against the advancement of Islamist terrorists in the Sahel. An ultimatum from the Economic Community of West African States to the coup plotters to reinstate Bazoum expired over the weekend. Otherwise, ECOWAS will take measures that could include force, which is the ultimatum. The Prime Minister of the ECOWAS member states will now meet in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, on Thursday to discuss how to proceed. At least 2 people were killed, hundreds of thousands of premises were left without power, and thousands of flights were cancelled or delayed after intense storms lashed much of the eastern United States. Millions of people on Monday were under severe weather alerts, including tornado watches, as rain, strong winds and hail swept east along nearly the entire eastern seaboard from Alabama to New York. The National Weather Service had predicted a moderate risk of hazardous storms with gusts up to 80 miles per hour. The storm spread was massive, with tornado watches and warnings posted across 10 states from Tennessee to New York. As much of the severe weather danger subsided into the late evening, some areas faced flood threats as it continued to rain. In sports, England and Chelsea's player Lauren James has apologized to Nigeria's Michelle Alozie for her red inhumane action against her in the round of 16 clash between the two countries. James stepped on Alozie in the 85th minutes of the intense contest and was originally cautioned by the referee. The decision was, however, overturned following VAR's intervention as she was sent off. She has since then come under fire from football lovers across the globe, which led to her turning off comment section in her Twitter page. The British made a public apology to the Nigerian, stating she's learned from her mistake. England, despite playing more than 35 minutes of the game, a player less held Nigeria to a goalless draw before securing a quarter-final spot via penalty shootout, which they won 4-2. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.